right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of From There to Here. Again, I'm your host, Lawrence Temple. And today I have Coach Antwan Brown. I don't want to say much more about him yet because I like the guests to do most of their own introductions. But I know him from the world of sports and motivating young people. I'll give more of a description later if I have to, but I'm going to have him do it. He's going to be one of the most dynamic and authentic people that you will see on this show, no doubt. Coach Brown, how are you today,
Hey,
sir?
hey, man, you already putting a lot of pressure on me, but hey, man, I'm enjoying life. Another day above ground. Blessed to see this day, a day that we never seen before, and we'll never see again. So, yeah, man, I'm enjoying it. Just getting excited to do this podcast because when you reached out, I was very thankful that you reached out because I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't been doing what I was called to do. I've been called to, share a message and get out on podcasts. And I got the microphone, I got all of the stuff, and
I
I just
see.
haven't been doing it. So when you called me, that was another sign of it's time to do it.
See,
So yes.
that's because part of the reason for the podcast is hoping that the things my guests say will spark things in the people watching, saying, "Oh man, they said this, they're doing this. I need to get on my game, whatever
Yeah.
that is." So, how
Yeah.
about this? There's one question that I always tell the guests in beforehand, which I've told you, which is, let's say you stepped on an elevator, somebody else is on there, you're only going to be on there 6-10 seconds with them, and they ask you who you are. If you had to boil yourself down in a few seconds, which is not fair, what would you say?
Well, in a few seconds, I'll say I'm a forgiving sinner. I'm
Okay.
gonna say I've done everything you've done. I just chose to surrender to Christ, and I still fall short. Um, it's one of those things where people look at you as a Christian and think you're supposed to have it together. And I'm the one person that'll tell you, or one of the people that'll tell you I don't have it together. But I just chose to have a relationship with them and try to figure this thing out. But I fall short on a daily basis.
That as I said, authentic is one of the words that was going to be your hallmark, and that's one of the most honest, right out the bat introductions I've had any guest make. I love it.
Oh yeah, I'm coming with it. I can't. The only thing, if I lied to you, I'm only lying to myself.
I get you dropped 2 or 3 gems already, whether you even know that or not.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So tell us, what do you do? And I know your son is there, and that's good because we want the real you, and he's going to be part of it.
Oh yeah.
What do you do? I know this, but for the people. So what do you do for a living?
Well, I guess I would consider myself, I'm a baseball coach, but I'm more of a life motivator to do baseball because I've played sports my whole life and I had to go through this identity. I guess you could say this identity evaluation because I tie myself to sports so much, but I finally realized that sports is just a platform in which I'm supposed to spread a message of what I've gone through. And it wasn't until, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's coming out right now, and I think this is the perfect time for it to come out that I can say it out loud.
Yeah.
Of my journey was meant for me to help other people. So baseball is my platform to spread what I've gone through and not be ashamed of what I've gone through and share the word so that I can actually help somebody else. And I think that's my first time actually saying this publicly. So LT, I'm telling you, I'm giving it to you authentic, man, because you're my buddy, even though you're a Gator fan, but I'm
Here we
here.
go.
I got to give it to you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Even though those who can see this podcast, some are people of faith, or some are not. But just that phrase of platform of using what you do for a living, whether you're a plumber, a teacher, a baseball player, whatever. But there's a bigger message that comes out of your life, even though you have a certain job or whatever. Can you take us back? Where did your connection with baseball or sports in general? Where and when did that come about?
Well, I've been playing sports my whole life. So I'm from a small town called Lottie, Florida. Bradford County is Lottie and Stark. You can call them both together. But growing up, it used to be like a little Sunday league back home, when my dad was playing, pickup league, played
Okay.
baseball every Sunday. So I was around baseball my whole life. And then, of course, my dad played football as well. So I picked up on football. But everybody else in the neighborhood was basketball players too. So I sucked at first. I wasn't good at basketball, but I started to teach myself basketball because
Okay.
everybody else was playing basketball.
Okay.
So it was more so like I started off with a God-given ability to play like baseball, and I had the football skills and the speed and the arm and that kind of thing. And then I sort of taught myself basketball just to keep up because, you know, back home, you know, every Sunday on the weekend we play basketball. It wasn't everybody just playing baseball. So
Okay.
I had, you know, I had to figure it out so I can hang out, you know. So yeah, it started from a little kid just being around sports, being around my dad, being around my uncle. Like it was always just sports. That's what we did because back in the day we used to go outside and play, you know. And it's one of those things where weekends, like when you got done with your homework, that kind of stuff, you was outside doing something, and we
Okay.
always would play like football, basketball, you know, baseball, whatever it was. So sports was just my thing, and then I just became, you know, pretty good at it.
Okay. When did you get, I guess, good enough in baseball that people started to recognize you for your baseball talent?
If I'm being honest,
Yes.
12, 12, 13.
Okay.
Like I was, when I turned, what was it, 13, 14, whatever the first year in middle school. So sixth grade, I was already playing with the eighth graders. And
Okay.
when I was 13 to 14, 15 years old, like I was playing on like it's a Negro League with my dad that was playing. And like semi-pro, they just everybody, we went different places to play it on Sunday. I was pitching on the team with my dad around 14, 15 years old. So
Okay.
I was playing against grown adults and then going back and playing against people my age.
Got it.
So it was one of those things where everybody's like, hey, this guy's he's pretty different. Like I've always thrown hard. I've always had extra power. I've always had like a little extra step. But it wasn't until like once I got to like 14, 15, that's when it was like, hey, this is pretty different. And like I said, my dad was like, he was a big time baseball player in the area. So everybody used to compare me to my dad. Like, how good you gonna be? Is he gonna be better than you? And that kind of thing. So it was one of those things where I advanced because I was around him a lot. I was around him when he was still playing. And then when he let me play with them, it was all like, it was just like, that was icing on the cake. So I would say anywhere from like 13, 14, 15 is when I would say that I was different.
Right. And yet now, were you, let's say in high school, I guess baseball was what you did the best sports wise. Did you also play football or basketball or something else for the school in high school?
Oh yeah. So I was actually I was a starting quarterback and I played basketball and then baseball. And I'll be honest with you, like baseball came so naturally to me. Like I did it and it was fun. It was natural. Like I spent more time training for like football than I did for baseball. Like I still did stuff with my dad and that kind of thing, but like baseball was a natural kind of thing for me. And I wish, I'll be honest with you, if I spent more time focusing on the baseball, it probably would have been a different story. But
Okay.
it is what it is because I'm living the story that I'm supposed to live. But if I actually spent more time focusing on what I was called to do at the time with my gift, it probably would have been a different story. But that was something that I was a little immature. I didn't know how to stop following the crowd in a way.
Okay.
And it's something that I live with. You know, it was a battle where I say if I would have just focused more on what I was called to do, I'm putting on Bryce's shirt. So I don't know why he got to put on a dress shirt right now, but
Okay.
it's one of those things where if I would have spent time focusing on my talent, my gift, versus what I was trying to be, you know. But yeah, it was one of those things where I played quarterback. And it's crazy how I became the quarterback because one of my friends died. He was the quarterback and he died when we were in high school. And then I sort of became the quarterback. So that's how, you know, that opportunity came upon me and then went into basketball, which I'll say like I should have stopped playing basketball, but it was
Think so?
cool. And yeah, it was cool. And it was that because now that I look back, it was if I was mature, I would have stopped playing and got ready for baseball.
I get that.
Yes,
Okay.
it was a maturity thing. I think if I was a little bit more wiser at that time, but I knew everything, you know, at that age, you know everything. Nobody could tell you what to do. And my dad and all my family was telling me, but it was just like, it is what it is. You know, I can look back at it now and say, I made not bad decisions. I made the decisions that was already set in stone, really.
I hear that.
It
I
was
had
what happened.
my last guest said some similar things too.
Yeah.
As a person who I met you when we were both working at the same high school, you the baseball coach and I was administrator there. And so I always pay a lot of attention to high school sports and young people that want to go on to the next level. Um, what are your thoughts about I just gonna give an imaginary situation. Let's say there's a kid who's in the ninth grade and he's pretty good at whatever sport, and he has it in his mind that he's going to be a Division I player and he's going to be a pro at whatever the sport. And
Yeah.
that of course, that's such a long shot type of thing. How would you advise kids who are that way? They love their sport, they think they're going to be a pro, but they're only in the ninth grade or 10th grade. What's the best way to approach a kid that way, or what's the best way for that kid to be thinking about sports in life, if this makes sense?
Well, okay, yeah. Well, the first thing I'll say, let me tie this real quick because he got to put his little cape on.
Okay.
I tied it one time and I guess it came undone. So if I don't tie it, he gonna have a fit. You good, man? All right, I'll be done in a minute. So
Perfect.
it's a few things, and I don't know how many points it'll be because I'm just going off the top, but I'm gonna go down the list. So the first thing I would say is, especially D1, and you know how right now we in this D1 or bust. The first thing I say is they got to educate themselves. Educate themselves not just on the field about the sport, but educate themselves about what it actually takes to become a Division I football, baseball, a Division I athlete.
Okay.
It's more than what they see on TV. Like when you say that you want to be a Division I or you want to be number one in anything, you have to do what the other 99% of the people aren't doing. You have to make a sacrifice in your life and give up a lot of stuff to be number one. Number one, division, you don't go to Florida without making sacrifices. You don't go to Florida State without making sacrifices. You don't go to these big time schools without giving up something. And a lot of times I think a lot of people see they see the icing on the cake, but they don't know how long it was baking. They don't know how long it was baking. So it's one of those things where I would say, do your research and really evaluate it. And then I go into it when I say research. If you ain't got D1 grades, don't even talk about D1 because you got to first get in. And a lot of people don't understand this. And I say this. Some people, when they are good enough, yeah, they'll find a way to get you in. Okay. But that's that 1% that's probably on their way to the NFL, the MLB. And we all know it's stuff that's gonna happen. We might, we're gonna get you in there. I ain't gonna say too much, but you're gonna get into the school because we know where you're gonna be at in a couple of years.
Okay.
But if you're not that kind of 1% athlete, if you're not that 1% athlete, I'm sorry to tell you, a 2.0 ain't finna get you in there. A 2.0, a 2.5 ain't finna get you until Florida is not finna get you until Florida State is not finna get you where you think you belong. So it's one of those things where I would say they got to research to know what it is and what it takes to be a D1 athlete. You got to have some D1 grades. You got to have an understanding of what it is. And then even when I go into the grades, you got to go learn about the actual college life. Like, what does it take? What courses I need to take? Like, you got to be invested in your academic process. You got to understand, like, what's the route I got to take? Because you got to take certain classes. And you got to meet certain criteria. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even learn about that stuff until like my senior year in high school.
Okay.
So I didn't even like NCAA clearinghouse and all this kind of stuff. I was on the track to that I'm about to get drafted. So I didn't even fill out applications. Okay. I didn't even care. I was just like, hey man, I'm about to get drafted. I'm not going to school. So if they would have offered me a pack of bubble gum, I was gone. So it's one of those things where I would encourage them to get on the right track with their grades early as possible. Like, go and ask for help. Go and ask for the things that you don't understand, because it's a lot of stuff you don't understand. You see the stuff on TV. You see it on TV and you see, oh, they showing up on the game on Saturday or they do this, but you don't get what goes on Monday through Friday. Okay. You don't understand that part. Like, they got to go to school. They got to go to class. They got to check in. They got to, they got to do their nutrition. They got to work out. And that goes back to the sacrifices, understanding what it means to actually be an athlete, because you are giving up your life. I'm sorry. You are
Okay.
giving up your life, and you're giving up your identity. You're giving up your identity, you know? And when I say that research, you got to understand you're about to go down a journey where you're going to lose yourself. You're going to lose friends. You might lose family. You're going to create new family. It's a lot that goes into it that I don't think people are really being authentic with about these kids, because
Okay.
everybody chasing. Everybody's chasing.
Right. Well, how
But
about this? How about the kid who is he's convinced because maybe his mom, his cousins, everybody, he's pretty good maybe, but he's convinced, if he plays football, he's convinced I'm going to be playing on Sundays, or if he plays basketball, I'm going to be playing with Morant in 3 years anyway. I know it. How does a kid determine if skill wise he really is that guy, or
well, I think.
how do
I
you make
got.
that determination, or get him to see it, whether he is or isn't? What we say about that?
Well, I tell you this right here, and this is the I didn't understand it either until I grew wiser and mature. You don't know how good you are until you playing amongst those people who go into that level. High school will fool you. It's a lot of people who are good, but they're not going nowhere. They're
Okay.
good.
Okay.
It's a such thing as a real good high school basketball player, football player, and that's what it is.
Okay.
Because when you get to the next level, it's not just about you being good. It's these people are consistently good. It's some people
Okay.
who are doing stuff that they're not even trying. They wake up. LeBron wakes up and he sits 8. He wakes up 6'8".
Yeah.
He doesn't have to try to be 6'8". But it's times where you have people that say, "Oh, I was good against little Jimmy." Little Jimmy ain't going nowhere either.
Okay.
So right now, you the best, and I say this, I said it, with me coaching. You the best of the worst and think you're on the right track. You both at the same level until you get amongst people who make you uncomfortable. And I'm talking about where you feel like, man, I can't score, I can't hit, I can't
Yes.
run.
Yes.
That's when you'll know where you are. And if you comfortable, and I know some people are great and they make themselves comfortable. Like you can become comfortable by being just that doggone good. But
Okay.
at that point though, they're going to advance you to levels where you got to get amongst those kind of people. That's when you start getting invitations and you get that. That's when you're special. But the thing is, if you're in a position where you're not uncomfortable, you're not that good. You're
That's
not.
heavy.
You're not, because I'm trying to tell you, when you get to the level of people who go into the same place as you or to the next level, boy, it's an uncomfortable feeling. I remember when I first got to college. When I first got there, I'm walking in, I throw 90 miles per hour. I'm the crap. The first time somebody hit off of me, and I was just like, he made that look easy. What am I doing? But guess what it made me say? I don't want that to happen. So I
Okay.
got to go and I got to get better. And luckily, God blessed me with an ability. I do hard, but people humbled me. They humbled me when I got amongst people who were just like me, because I wasn't
Okay.
humble in high school. I was cocky. I was arrogant, like,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. I wasn't. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't as good as I should have been, but
Okay.
at the end of the day, I got by with what I was. And that's another thing where sometimes a lot of athletes get by with where they are and then they thinking they making it, but you're not. And I'm just saying the biggest thing is you got to get yourself around some dogs. Like you got to know that everybody there is going to that level and then see where you at. But if you score, if you doing it and like, and I look at guys a lot of times, if you're not working out, you're not training, you're not doing nothing, you sitting on your butt, you doing all this kind of stuff and you still scoring 30 points, you got to be real with yourself.
Okay.
That you just playing against people who don't need, they worse than you.
Got it.
So
Got
I
it.
would just say, yeah, they gotta, hey, at this point, you just gotta be real and you gotta get amongst the big dog.
That is so good, because I would meet kids who, like you said, they were probably good for this level, but I didn't even know who they were. My thinking is, if you're a D1 kid and you're in the 11th grade, you shouldn't have to tell me, "Hey, Mr. Temple, I played basketball," because I figured your name should be out there so much. I clearly know who you are. So that's what I was thinking.
Oh, at the end of the day, I say D1 guys. like you just you just hit it on. If you D1, I know you. Like, I'm a know
Yeah.
of you because I don't even have to go searching for you. I'm gonna hear about you. Somebody gonna say, such and such play on that team.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Hey,
yeah.
You got it, such and such. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be no such and such. If nobody said nothing about you, I'm sorry to tell you, you on a roll, but not on the right track. You're not,
Okay.
you're not going where you think you're going.
Okay.
Now,
how about in the next episode, I want to ask you about kind of your philosophy about coaching and how you kind of mix your real life lessons into your coaching. But my last straight sports question: what about other college options for sports? Not D1, but D2 or D3 or NIA or all these other things. Are they good paths to go as well? Well, what do you think about
somehow, let me tell you, LT, somehow we done got away from the meaning of what college was about. Like, at some point, we got to get back to the fact that college is actually meant for you to go get an education, but you're using your talents and gift to pay for the education.
Okay.
So we're in this point where it's a D1 a bus, and we got more people on the bus side than we got on the D1. But I remember when college used to be a privilege.
Okay.
Like, it used to have some kind of weight, but now we got people who are preaching, oh, community college is this, and D2 and D3 is that. College is a privilege. It's not all levels is important. I'm sorry to tell you, it's a level for everybody out there. It's a level for everybody out there. And the thing is, you have to be true to your authentic self to understand your level, because I'm sorry to tell you, and this, if this makes sense, let me know. D3 might be your D1. That is your number one. You don't understand that. D2 is your D1. But you're up here trying to be D1 because it looks good. You're on TV. You're doing all that kind of stuff, but that ain't your level. And that's where people they go places. And I heard this before, and it was, I think it was Pastor Gibson when I did the habitudes for athletes, what I used to do with my baseball players at Atlantic, where it says sometimes your talent will get you somewhere that your character can't withstand. And the thing is, some people they got it, they'll get to that D1 level, and they can't even handle what comes with a D1 level.
Okay.
They can't even withstand what that level is even asking them to do on a consistent basis. So sometimes you might have the talent to go D1, but it takes more than talent. It takes getting up in the morning. It takes eating the right foods. It takes, no, I can't go to this party because we got workouts. It takes more. And if you can't do that, then why go to that level?
Okay.
But it's every level is important. It's college. And I know we went to this where people always say, just because you got a degree, that don't mean anything and all this. And I know it may appear that way, but I'm sorry. If you got a degree, and right now, if you got a degree, and Jimmy, me and Jimmy, we the same people, same talent, whatever it is, and he don't have a degree, and I got one, I got a better chance of getting that. I got a better chance of getting that shot because I went the extra mile and I showed them that I was willing to get the degree. Yeah, the degree might not have nothing to do with the job, but at the end of the day, it shows that I was willing to go the extra mile. It shows that I was willing to make a sacrifice. It shows to them now on paper. I get it. Like sometimes, you can fool it, but it doesn't matter because that little piece of paper, as people say, that piece of paper can be your ticket. That piece of paper can be what stands out between the other person, and the other person may just be more qualified, but you had that paper. And I know people tell people, all the time, well, you could go do a trade and you could go do this. Yeah, that's true. But how can you say that to somebody who's not even willing to wake up in the morning? I don't mind trades, but you can't just preach, oh, just go get a trade, just go do this. No, it's still qualifications that you need for that. So I think we got to stop sugarcoating this stuff. All of it's going to be hard, and all of it may, you can do it. You can do whatever you put your mind to. But we done got away from understanding that college is a privilege, it's an honor, and no matter what level you own, you're doing something that only don't quote me on the number, but I know it's less than it's what, 7%, 8%, whatever the percentage is
Mm.
in the world that get to do it. So you might as well go ahead and do it. Use your talent to get your paper. That's in the young kids. That if you want to get this paper, use it. And then, like you say, at times I can't remember some of my classes either from college. But when they look at my resume, they see that I graduated.
Yeah.
So they ain't gotta, if they don't ask me nothing about it, I took computer-based classes, I took intro to all this kind of, I took aviation classes. I crank a plane up, but it ain't got nothing to do with it. When they see that I got that diploma, they better sign me up.
I got that.
Hey, it's one of those it's one of those, you better fake it till you make it, because I'm telling you, like, yes, you can make it without a degree, but it's not just no easy route either.
Right. I get that. That's great. And you are so right. People do get, especially a lot of, I see sports parents, they forget about the fact that this is going to give their kid a college education, and they're only thinking about trying to be some pro athlete. I love that. Could you tell me, I have about 10 minutes left, which is going to be perfect, because I wanted to get into your, I guess, your philosophy. I was struck when we worked together that not only were your teams, we were Atlantic High School at that time, not only were they successful on the field, but you seem to go out of your way to make your players better people. And it just in community service and just the way you talk to them and about them. Can you talk, now that you're coaching on the college level, but still, I'm sure it's the same philosophy. What's your thinking or your philosophy as far as what you're building in your athletes on as players and beyond? That question makes sense.
Well, yeah. Well, I learned that, I told you going through the journey, and it goes back to the beginning where I say I'm more of a forgiving sinner. Man, people be putting me on a pedestal. I'm not on no pedestal. I got flaws. I haven't been the best son. I haven't been the best husband. I haven't been the best. I haven't been the best. I done made a lot of mistakes. But I made the decision to stop doing the wrong and do what I'm supposed to do. So I'm trying to show people that, hey, I'm human. I'm human too, but you can look at my past, and I'm gonna tell you my past probably darker than my future. But at the end of the day, I was able to make a decision to stop doing the things that I used to do. Like I used to drink, I smoked, I did all that kind of stuff that people, say don't do. I'm not no better than you, but I can show you, once you make the decision to step into what you called to do, you can still do great things. Because, and I'm not just throwing the Bible at people, and I'm not trying to say that I'm holding you down, but I'm gonna use this opportunity to tell you, God used sinners. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to show sinners that, hey, you can be a sinner and God will still use you to do things for other people. God didn't use nobody who was perfect, but it's a lot of people who are looking at you and say, oh, well, you smoked, or you did this, or you did that. God used adulterers, he used murderers, he used sinners, he used all the people who had a dark side. So how can we sit back and say, look at that person, they're not doing the right thing? So what I did was, I understand that, because I had to understand, because I was God, why me? I done messed up so much. But then I had to go and understand this is who he used, because he knows that you're going to do what he asks you to do. So
I wanted to interject something real quick, because I have a friend, just like you have the ability to play sports and to coach sports and all this. I have a friend, his ability is art, great artist. But when he became more committed to his spiritual things, he threw his art away. I mean, he's picked it up now, because he thought that being a spiritual person, the only things he was supposed to do were like church type stuff. And he thought his other talent, his art talent or your sports talent, didn't matter anymore. Now he has woken up now, but that's what he thought. Can you talk to me about our gifts that are not, church building gifts, but that they're still important, even though we are spiritual people? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, nobody said that your gift had to be in the church. Because the thing is, you can reach people outside the church. So the thing is, if we every day we walk around that kind of thing, it's people out there that's looking for somebody to show them the right way. But the thing is, we get to this point where you become a hypocrite about it and you're saying, oh, no, like I got it all together. No, I want you to see I messed up and I'm still choosing to trust him. You can follow me. I don't know where we're going, but we're going to go. And that's where faith kick in. So I'm going to use my gift. Like if he gave you a gift, he gave all of us gifts. Once you accept your gift, you are being a testimony. You're spreading his word because it's his gift. It's not yours. Baseball and sports wasn't my gift. It's not my gift. I don't claim it. And with me helping these kids, I don't claim none of it. And that's why I tell people I'm just a normal person that messes up. So when I started to coach, at first I was about winning, but I was like, it's bigger than winning. Everybody's not going pro. And my whole life, it was about going pro. And I was willing to give up anything to go pro. But when God took that away from me, I didn't even know who I was. So I had to search and I had to get help. And thank God right now, I've met some incredible men that have been coming into my life and helping me accept my new identity. And it was just until like last week, really accepting my identity. My pro career is not happening. It's not happening. And this year, it's not going to happen. But guess what? I could be professional in something else.
Oh, that's a great quote. Wow.
But now I'm learning how to do what I got to do and step into it wholeheartedly. And now I got the fire. Like I've been worried about myself so long. I've been selfish, ego, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what made me a better coach. Now, even when I was at Atlantic and all this kind of stuff, we made it to the playoffs, in New Smyrna. I've been to the playoffs in 3 different high schools in this area. And my first year in college, we made it to the SWAC championship. Okay. So I'm winning ain't a problem to me. But my biggest thing is if I'm not winning somebody's life and I'm not encouraging them and I'm not connecting with them, I'm not winning. Because everybody, like the pro stuff in the game, it's going to be over one day. But what I take pride in is when these kids say, thank you, coach. When I was at Atlantic, guys gave their life to Christ. I didn't even it wasn't me. But because we were doing the FCA, we got guys getting baptized. At Bethune-Cookman University, we got a guy getting baptized. It just seems like when you spread your word and you show your gift, God's going to show himself through you. It ain't you. But if you hide it, like you said, your friend Art, if he hides his gift, they're not going to see God through the gift.
Wow.
They're not going to see it. So it's one of those things where I'm saying, this is my first time saying it out loud. So you getting some real authentic stuff. Yeah. Where I'm getting on fire right now because I see it. It's clear now because I had to say it, but I had to say it publicly right now. So it's one of those things where, yes, I'm a sinner. Yes, I'm probably going to sin in a few minutes. It is what it is, but I chose to have a relationship with God and I know how to repent. I know how to say I'm wrong and I know how to try to be connected to him the best I can. And that's all I did. So, and what I did was, I fought it. I fought it. In Atlantic, I'm going to tell you, I've been the biggest front ever. Y'all saw the biggest front ever. Like really? Yes, because I knew who I was called to do, but I was fighting it the whole time. I was fighting it. I was fighting it. I'm going to tell you, I would come on, like I did that stuff and I wasn't even trying. I'm going to tell you what I've done in my past. That wasn't even me. That was me battling myself.
Okay.
So I don't even know what he got for me, but you saw that and I was just fighting myself. Just think if I had released a long time ago, but at the end of the day, now I released it. Now I'm ready to see how bright this light is. I'm ready to really see it because the thing is, I had to submit to it. So yes, in my heart, I always knew I was going to give to the kids. I knew it was bigger than baseball. My mom it's always bigger than the sport. It's always been that. But the thing is, now that I accept it and I see the message and using your platform for what it's meant to be, and that's for God to do whatever he got to do it. So that's where I'm at. And that's how I coach to where I'm going to try to connect because every time I went somewhere, it's somewhere I had to connect with somebody that had nothing to do with baseball.
I get that.
So it was always, I just realized that I need to go and see what my purpose is in every place I go because sometimes the purpose don't have nothing to do with baseball. So once I started understanding that, I started growing and I'm going to tell you, like even at Cookman, some of the boys kept me going because I talked to them. It had nothing to do, like they were talking about life stuff. I'm like, man, God, I asked myself, God, what I'm here for? I had to ask before I go, God, what you want me here for? What you want me at Bethune-Cookman for? And it was because the guys needed me. Some of those guys needed me. So that's where I connect. So yeah, do my coaching. All I do is take what I went through, tell them the truth, Tell them I'm a sinner just like you. Tell them I mess up just like you. I cry just like you. I put my pants on just like you. But now I'm just on a platform. I'm on a bigger platform.
Coach Brown, since we're talking about that, the intersection between sports and then and the rest of our life and all this, of course, as a person who knows sports, you're familiar with Morant, the NBA player, and the different controversies I'm sure about him and the guns and all that kind of stuff. It was in the news today that he's gotten a suspension, I think, for 25 games for this new year.
Yeah.
If you were someone that had his ear, everyone has their opinions, but you're someone who works in sports and etc. From what we know from the outside, if you could have his ear and sit down with him for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and he was open to your advice for what you've seen, what could you imagine yourself sharing with him, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, before I even go to share anything with him, first thing I'm gonna say, hey man, talk to me. What's wrong? Like, because he's crying for help. It's something deeper than what we may know. You know, because a lot of times we look at people and it's easy to say, oh, you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be doing that. But a lot of times you got to take a step back and say, why they doing that? But I know a lot of people done broke it down to him about the opportunity that he has in front of him.
Yeah.
But if he got deeper issues, he doesn't care about the basketball. He doesn't care about the money. Like, baseball and sports is what I do. It's not who I am. And everybody who used to be, oh, you got this, or you going pro. I didn't care. Like, that wasn't, I don't care. That's not me. My life, my soul isn't going to be on the baseball field. Like, that's what people don't understand. So I would actually spend more time trying to figure out what is truly bothering him, that he feels he has to do these things. You know, is it that he's not? I mean, it might be a disconnection between his daddy. I know everybody can see where dad trained him and did that kind of stuff, but you never know. You never know how true the relationship is. So I would just, one, be a listening ear to him, and then two, tell him, hey, I'm here for you. But I don't want to just necessarily bring it about basketball, because obviously he knows who he is.
Okay.
He knows the opportunity that he has in front of him, but obviously that ain't it. I mean, at the end of the day, when people be like, if I'm going through a mental problem, and that's another thing, mental health is a real problem that people don't want to touch on. But when I'm going through mental stuff, the last thing I want to hear about is my job and what I got to do. I don't care. Like, my job, if I die tomorrow, they're going to be filling out, people going to be filling out applications. They're going to come to my funeral, but by the time I'm in the ground, somebody else going to have my position.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I don't want to just say, hey, you got to do it for everybody else. No, let's find out what's wrong with Morant. And then how can I help you get to that point? But then I'm gonna show myself and say, man, it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to go get help. Everything's okay. But I think I'll try to find a way to seek the deeper issue, because obviously it ain't the money, it ain't the attention, it ain't all that. So now what is it? It's something deeper than that. So I'll just encourage them and say, hey, tell them it's your life. You got to live it. But at the end of the day, it's something deeper going on. It's something deeper.
Those are some incredible points you made. One, from the outside, we're only focused on their sport, but as the actual person, you just made that great point. They are more than that. We always say their name and we think sport. They think their own name and they think me. Separate from my sport, my job, and we on the outside, we don't see that. I appreciate that take. That's really good.
And that's when it comes down to people mistake your identity for what you do. Because I'm gonna tell you, sometimes sometimes when I'm done with baseball, I need to take it off. When I'm not, I don't want to be Coach Antwan. Sometimes I need to be Antwan from Lottie, Florida, the boy that sits out in the yard, listen to music, joke, and laugh. Sometimes it's hard to be Coach Antwan. And I can only imagine Morant, everywhere you go, that man cannot go into a store. He can't go into this man, the only place he probably could go and be alone is probably in the restroom.
Wow.
So it's like, think about that, where you can't live your normal life. And I know people say, well, that's what you called to do. It's still, yes, he called to do it, but it comes with things. It comes with attention. It comes with the people who put you on that pedestal, trying to keep you on the pedestal. But what happens when I can't stand up there? I'm still a human. I'm still going to fall short.
Yeah.
So who's there for me when I fall short? So we got to stop it. That's where I messed up, where it's always your identity. And I always had to put on my shirt and tie. Oh, people can't watch me. People watch it. And that messed me up, in my life. It messed me up in my home life. It messed me up a lot because I never knew how to turn it off. But now I understand it. I'm gonna turn it off. Like I'm sorry. Hey, if I gotta show you this face and say this ain't Coach Antwan right now, this Antwan Brown, I put a sign up. I'm going to turn it off, because if you don't turn it off, it'll drive you crazy.
Goodness gracious, that's so good. And not just for the professional athlete, for the teacher, the principal, the bus driver, the whatever you are, you'll be burned out. Even if you love that thing, it'll burn you out if you do it all the time. Ministry, whatever. That is so good. And you're helping us see this athlete as what he is, a human, not just a stat machine. Let me leave sports for a moment and go to Team Brown. Talk to us about your family, your kid, your wife, your family stuff. Talk to us about that real quick.
Well, it's actually of course, like I told you, this year was actually one of the most trying years of my life. Like me and my wife, we went through some things, and we're trying to rekindle learning each other. We started to grow separately at times, but it ain't nothing God can handle. But we also started dealing, with my son, where he actually is high functioning autistic. So we found out that. So we started doing, therapy and things like that, which was a whole nother, aspect of life. So we're trucking through it. But this year, when I took this leap of faith with going to Bethune-Cookman, a lot of things happened where God was asking me, is he trying to get to life? Well, God was really asking me, am I going to trust him in different ways? Because, I was like, hey, I'm making this decision. Everything's going to fall into place. Eventually, I'm going to be making money, all this kind of stuff. And it was like the total opposite, where I had to learn, I had to dig a little deeper. I had to let go of my pride and my ego. He really checked me. Like, he made me turn the mirror so inward about myself that it was crazy. Like, it was just like, I'm like, man, like I had to really evaluate Antwan Brown and see some stuff about me that I didn't know was really there. So it's been challenging. I mean, I love my family. We're still trucking, but it's been a challenging year and things like that. But it was for me. It was for me to evaluate myself and grow to be a better man, grow to stop relying on myself. And really, God showed me that I'm not in control of nothing. So stop acting like it. So I'll be trying to control everything. And I think, if I do this gonna happen. And I was trying to play God. I was up here saying that I trust you, God, and I'm trying to tell him, I was trying to put God in a position to do what I want him to do, And it was silly of me because it was really just like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I know he ain't telling me to do it. I ain't even asked about it, but I'm gonna do this, and he better make it happen. But he really showed me who he was, because he humbled me a lot. So it was one of those things. I think it was a year of it was my year of pruning. Like, he was really calling me out and made me look in the mirror and check myself. I really had to check myself. And he beat me. I ain't gonna say beat me down. He made me very bare to where I had to surrender. So this year I'm publicly saying it was a year. So everybody looked at me and said, "Oh, you're on TV now, and you're doing this and you're doing that." And I was crying too. I was crying at times because I said, God, I don't know what else I got to do. But he kept saying, do you trust me? Like, you say you have faith, but is it really faith, or you just going through the motion? Because I can tell you, I said I had faith, but I didn't know what faith was until this year. And I'll say it. It was times when I didn't even know how I was going to pay the bill.
Okay.
Yeah, because my schedule changed and my son needed different needs. So I was torn between being a dad, being a husband, being a coach, and I never been pulled in so many different places.
This is so interesting.
That's part of it.
Yes, it's so interesting because sometimes on these different interviews, my guests who never talk to each other, don't know each other, they will say these similar threads. And a similar thread with the last several guests have been this thing about letting go of control. Not feeling like you're in charge. And maybe because I'm talking to successful people who have had success by organizing their life. But I keep hearing this message, them having to learn to let go, to be okay when things didn't go exactly like they planned. I just keep hearing this from my different guests. And
It's a
I'm
real
glad this is
thing.
coming out. Wow.
Well, I'm telling you, it's a real thing. And when you are successful,
Yeah.
a lot of times you done made decisions yourself to get to a point. Like you done done it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and let me say, you done it yourself to get there. But it's really, God molded you there. But you
Yeah.
get to a point where I think if you're going to elevate to that next level, he's going to isolate you. And when he isolates you, that's when you're going to lose control and say, it's almost like he say, I got it now. You think you did this. One, you didn't get here by yourself, but now I'm about to step in and I'm gonna show you who really got control. And I think that's the difference between the have and the have not, to where you get to the point where, hey, are you gonna really trust him or not? And the people who don't trust him usually give up. But the ones who can step in and trust them and say you got it are the ones who end up being successful, and not because of you, but that's when
Yeah.
you learn a new faith. You learn a new faith. You learn a new message. Like you learn something new through it. But yeah, I had to, it was the worst thing ever. Even going from being a head coach. This is
Yeah.
my first time being assistant coach since I started my career. I've been an assistant coach for 2 months in my whole life.
I was gonna ask, I'm glad you said. I was gonna ask you, what's it like to be the person in charge of a program, and now you're an assistant. I was gonna ask you that, so please talk about
Well,
that.
let me go ahead and tell you. God said you're not in control. He told me that. He showed me, and he showed me with him. He showed me in my job. He showed me in everything. And it was like, are you gonna let me lead you? Not saying that you might not be in control soon or whatever, but it's like you can't be a leader if you don't learn to follow. And it wasn't even about following the boss, it's about following him. He's the boss. So the message is deeper than what you actually see. And that's where faith comes in, because it's the thing that you can't see. Because if you can see it, that means it's not really faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh
not
my
faith.
goodness.
I mean, I'm telling you, like, that's what I had to learn. Like I told you, I'm excited about it because I had to learn the things you see. If you focusing on the things that you see, you're not even on the track, because you can't see what he's doing. You can't see it. He wants you to
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
You're supposed to believe even though you don't see it.
Yeah.
So that's where I got tested. Like it hit me in my gut. Like I had to bite, like learning to bite my tongue and say, play my role was
Ooh.
the hardest thing of my life. But guess what he told me? You're not in control. And then I had to check myself. Guess what I had to check? Pride and ego. And in the
Yeah.
Bible, it talks about pride and ego.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it's so, again, it's just such a connection with different things you're saying. I was listening to one of those like First Take, one of those debate sports shows, and they were talking about famous coach like a Belichick or one of those famous great pro coaches, and
yeah,
they
yeah.
were talking about how sometimes ego can get in the way of them making good decisions, or being prideful, figuring they can do it, that kind of stuff. So again, that's a similar theme I've been hearing. This is really amazing. I want to
Yeah,
ask you this. I think it's my last question. We'll see.
yeah,
With your coaching sports hat on,
yeah.
what advice? I guess I'll ask the same thing two different ways. What advice? Let's say that you could gather all the parents of high school athletes in one big room, all to the Superdome. You're not talking to the kids. You're talking to their parents of kids who from ninth to 12th grade, all the different sports. What message or messages do you want the parents of high school athletes to learn, or to know? What do you want them to know?
Oh, I love this. Well, first, you love them because they're your kid. You don't love them because of what they're doing. So no matter if they playing a sport or not, you got to show this kid that you love them and that you're going to be there. You're going to guide them and show them. A lot of times, parents are so tied up in their kid making it and being
Okay.
successful in the sport that you forget that that's your child. And the
Okay.
thing is, sometimes that's when pride and ego kick in, because the parent wants to be known as, hey, that's my kid doing good. That's my kid doing this. That my kid doing that. But at the end of the day, you have to actually connect with your kid and see what your kid really want to do. It's like
Okay.
what people say with me with Bryson. I don't care if Bryson play a sport or not, because you know what? I'm his dad. My responsibility has nothing to do with if he kick a ball, throw a ball, shoot a ball. But if he does it, of course, I'm gonna put myself in a position to actually be able to teach him that. But at the end of the day, my job isn't to make sure that he goes to the MLB, NFL, and that kind of stuff. My job is to make him a better human being, and then one day he can create a family and then pass on the generational wealth. So that's my goal. So I'll say first, you got to love them no matter what. If he's sitting a bench, you should be the first person there. A lot of times parents get to the point where I ain't gonna show up if you sit in the bench.
Yeah.
No, that's when I got to be there. If my son ain't playing, I got to be there. If he's sitting the bench every game, I don't care. It's not a waste of money because every opportunity is a lesson. So if he's sitting the bench, I want my son, hey, what can you learn? It's not a waste of money. I knew, if I'm being realistic, and that was the next point, being realistic.
Okay.
If the parents are being realistic, you know your son don't supposed to be on the field. So at the end of the day, if my son isn't that good, okay, and one, I'm not going to be making I make sacrifices. You got to make sacrifices, but I'm not going to be making no crazy sacrifices to where I have to remind my kid that I'm wasting money because there's another note. If I keep saying that I'm wasting money on you and what you're doing, I'm showing you your value. So when parents say, oh, I'm wasting money, so I'm only worth $2,500 or I'm only worth $1,500 or sometimes, I'm only worth the $100 fee that it costs or you put gas in your car, that's all I'm worth to you. People don't understand that you're creating a value when you talk about how much money you lose with your kid, but that's another story. But the thing is, I'm going to tell them, if you're realistic with your son, you'll know how much money you should be. If my son ain't good in it and it's putting me in a bind, I'm going to say, hey, son, let's try something else here. Like, I don't mind you. It's not going to be a waste of money, but understand, hey, you might not get the opportunities that you think you're going to get, but I'm going to be here for you. Like, as long as you understand it, I'm still going to be here in the stands, whether you plan or not, because that's my job as your father. My job is to be here as your father and not just because you're doing good. So what I was saying is my job as a father is to be there when you need me. And a lot of times people think parents and people in general, when you're doing good, that's when they think you're it's okay to support you because it makes them look good. But at the end of the day, my support is when I don't have nobody. I need support when I'm thinking about quitting. When I get to the top, I don't need no congratulations from nobody because you're gonna get it from everybody.
Guys,
so
good.
When I'm here about to quit, where are you? When it looks ugly, when I have to borrow, I thank God for my family and my friends right now. I've had to borrow money to make sure that I can do this. You know, that kind of thing, because that's how invested I am. But that took lowering my pride and my ego. So at the end of the day, that's when I need your support, when nobody know how hard this is, when I'm about to throw in the towel. But a lot of times parents want to be there and say, oh yeah, it looks good, because that's when they get a benefit out of it. And my kid, I'll be honest with you, I don't care if my son do drugs. I don't care if I hate to say this, if he kills somebody or whatever, he's still my child. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm son, I hurt, you got to go through it, but I'm here. Like, I'm sorry, I can't turn my back on you because you made a bad mistake. Like that kind of thing. So I tell them, go ahead.
Oh no, I have a quick story. Just amen to stuff you're talking about. I worked at a school once upon a time, and there was a kid who played a sport. And I went, as an administrator, had to go to the game. I saw the game. I went to the game, and I saw this guy's dad, who I didn't know, but one, the dad looked just like him, and two, he had a T-shirt on that said "My son is number 10" or whatever.
Yeah.
So and the son played very well. So the next day, I see the kid, and I say, "Hey, Johnny, I saw your dad at the game. I couldn't miss him. He looked just like he had the shirt on." And the kid got so furious because the dad was in and out of his life. And the dad only started wearing the shirts and bragging about him when he started playing well as like a junior or something.
Yeah.
He said so it made him furious because it was like the dad was trying to get glory off of him, but was not being a father, was poor to the mom and all that kind of stuff. So
well, that's that self-pride thing. It makes you look good. And the thing is, a lot of time the kid get put in a position where he don't want to out you publicly either. It's still, you don't want to be able to say, well, my daddy wasn't here, because it makes everybody look bad at times. And then that's a feeling, it hurts. That hurts to know you wasn't there when I was eating ramen noodles. I know how it feels to eat onion soup. And I'm talking about not I created onion soup. I had water and I got pepper and I cut up onions and I made soup. Like that
Man.
was what I ate sometimes. So you can't sit here and tell me like when I was there, you didn't have nothing for me, but now when I'm eating lobster, you want to come and sit at the table. You can't do that, you know? So the thing is, I would say, I mean, in a nutshell, the first thing you got to do is understand that you got to love them regardless. And you got to, support is when they need you, you know, not when everything going good, because they're going to get enough support. They're going to get enough support, but they need to know that you my parent. That's it. At the end of the day, you my parent. And when I want to turn this off, I got to be able to talk to you and not talk to you about sports.
Wow.
Talk to me about, I like other stuff. You got to talk to me about, I'm doing this, it's good, but I like other stuff. What if I like fishing? What if I like this? If you only talking to me about sports, you're not connecting to me as my parent. And then being realistic. The biggest thing is being realistic and being true to yourself. Being true to the fact that if your kid isn't on the track that, you know, they're supposed to be on and that kind of stuff, it's not the end of the world. You can find something for your kid to be great in, but take that time and be realistic. Don't go up here telling people Johnny good and you stupid coach for not playing them. Just be realistic. And it's okay to say, son, you're not good at this, but you might be good at that. Let's go find out what you're good at versus me up here blowing up this coach number and causing a scene at the games. Hey, I know if you're good at sports anyway. I mean, if the parent understands sports, if Bryson look like he's shooting with 3 hands, he don't need to be on the basketball court. And if a coach put him in the game, he on the wrong team anyway, because I'm going to tell the coach he don't know what he's doing because I know my son don't supposed to be out there.
Gotcha.
But it's about just being realistic. So being realistic, my main point is being realistic, be a supportive parent no matter if they plan or not, be the parent, okay? And last thing is always show them that you love them no matter what, because sometimes when you're away, you don't know what these kids hear. You don't know the battles that they face. You don't know the bullying. You don't know the discrimination. You don't. It's so much stuff that, you know, I've overcome in my playing career that people don't know. You know, like it's sometimes when people tell you, "Oh, you're not good enough," or "You're not this," because they don't want you to succeed. It's not that you're not good enough. They can break your soul.
Okay.
And that's why you got to be there to show them that you love them. You know, no matter what, that I love you, not for what you do, but for who you are. You're my child. So that's how I look at it.
Coach, that's awesome. I appreciate everything you have shared with us today. Not just, I mean, because you gave us good insights on the sports side, but then you gave us a ton of things just on the human side. You're helping us see athletes and athletics as a human story, not just statistics. And then you get like a window into your own life and journey. And I'm glad that you mentioned, well, everything. I'm glad that you mentioned that even family life, you know, marriage, parenthood, that is not without struggle, because I do think one reason why marriages end so quickly is people go into it thinking it's supposed to be smooth and easy all the time. And if I run into some problems, that must mean I'm supposed to quit it or it's the wrong person. And you sharing that even the right thing still has stuff to work on. That might be one of the most valuable things you shared with us today.
Yes, sir. And I'll say that's when faith kicks in, because like, you're going to want to quit. I'm not even going to lie. I was ready. I was like, God, I'll throw away everything. Like, that's how it is, because I was just like, that's what your pride and ego tells you to do. But he's asking you to dig a little deeper. And I'm not even going to lie. That's when I had to get a little bit closer to him. And I'm no saint. I'm telling you, I'm not no saint. I chose to have a relationship. And that's just where it's at. I have a relationship with God. And I told you I'm a forgiving sinner. I had to admit my sins to him and cry about them and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's one of those things where anything worth having, it's going to take God. And I'm telling you, it don't take effort to be it don't take an effort to go and just smoke dope and chill. Hey, I'm not judging nobody about it. But the thing is, the moment you decide to do what you called to do, get ready. You better saddle up. The moment you make that decision,
that's good,
to do what you are called to do, you better get ready for the hardest battle of your life.
Okay, that's good.
And that's why I've dropped the mic on that.
Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of From There to Here, and a special thank you to our guest, Coach Antwan Brown. I hope you picked up on his passion and his combination of a love of sports and a knowledge of sports and knowing how to motivate people, combined with his beliefs, his faith, and his overall desire to see the best in other people. I hope it triggered something in you as well. Well, have a great evening. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on From There to Here. Have a good evening.